Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Queen City Picker and Friends show. And joining me is my loyal co-host, Todd. How are you today, Todd?
I am good and grits.
Good. Good morning, Mr.
Great.
Sadie.
Just great. Doing fine.
Good. Looking forward to your day out with your girlfriends.
Yeah, kind of. Hadn't been all that great lately. Not all that much stuff to buy. They're so weird over there at the Lutherans. They've got tons of stuff in there to buy and none of it worth anything. Ugh.
Good morning, Mr. Bumcrack. Or good afternoon to you, I guess. Good morning, Lag. I got a question for you, Lag. You're always talking about your mom. Is there a dad anywhere in the picture? Just curious.
Who cares about dad? Mom's the one who makes the pancakes.
Yeah, I know. I was just curious.
This is the professional show. Absolutely, Anissa. We're here to pump you up.
That's right.
Get out
Good
there
morning,
and sell
Anissa.
stuff on eBay and make $1 million. $1 million and get
You know,
rich.
not too long ago, I was out with some friends, and we were just sitting around talking, having coffee, and they said one guy asked me, he said, "Can you really make any big money with eBay?" And I was thinking, I would say no, not on your own. Now, maybe if you're like Lag, where you got a staff, helping you with everything. You forgot the P again, Lag. It's little P, capital T. Uh, you can only do so much. I mean, if you a day, because I have the items to list. By the time you list all that stuff, and then you ship, I mean, it's gonna take all day just for one person.
I'm going to take a contrarian view to that, Tom.
Okay, go ahead. That's what the show's all about. Contrary old man.
Now, during the month of September, it is true I lucked into some good stuff to sell. But during September, and I sell about 4 hours a day. That's about what I average doing eBay selling.
Right.
My income from eBay sales was greater than my Texas teacher retirement income.
Now, is that before? Is that gross or is that net?
That is net after everything, after federal income tax, after um now I don't do that every month, and I probably in the 9 years I've been selling, I've done that about 5 times where my eBay income is more than what my retirement income is. Now, if I worked 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, I'm quite sure I could make a full time income just doing what I do. I mean, it's not big bucks, that's still not getting rich. But if I were to double the amount of hours that I work reselling, uh, I'm I'm pretty darn sure I can make a decent decent, a living wage anyway.
Well, I think they were
So
more in talking about
getting rich? No,
making a
you gotta
lot of money. I'm not talking about you know, $100,000 a year net because you know that's no money these days. But a half a million
expand.
dollars a year, something that you can afford. Felix's Rolexes and Lag's live-in housekeeper that cooks and Mr. Sadie's Rolls Royce pickup truck.
Try it this way. Does Scott a single? He does 99% of the work on his selling himself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's making pretty good money?
I'm thinking he's making good money to support his family in a style that is comfortable and you know apparently they do whatever they want to when they want to do it. But when people see stuff like eBay and Amazon, because apparently you can become a multimillionaire off of Amazon. Um, um, they're thinking big bucks, low work. eBay eBay takes a lot of work, a lot of physical, time-consuming work. And yeah, if somebody that's young, as a teenager like Lag, that's got all this energy, they can get by on listing all day and shipping all night and getting by with 4 hours of sleep. You know,
Mm.
um, for the average person, and I'm not talking about the seasoned citizens like me, you, and Mr. Sadie. Um, do we have it in us to do something like that? Do we need to do a competition? You got to list 50 items a day.
It
How
depends
it
on
comes
the
out.
items.
Well, that's just it. If you want to make $1 million,
If
you
you
want to
have
make a
the
million dollars
ability to,
net.
if you have the ability to source better items, you don't have to list 50 a day.
I mean, if you sold 10,000 items a year at $100 a piece, that's your net off of each one of them. That would be $1 million. But
Lag
how
is
many
saying
people
you got to
sells?
make a, you got a net. Lag is saying you got a net 175,000 a year to own a home. Well, it's probably true until the home is paid for, but my home has been paid for what, 12, 13, 14 years?
Is that you? Like says you could make a living if your average sale price was $500. Like maybe you sell everything as $500, but I don't know very many people that do. Hey, Joanna. Good morning. Good morning, who hip chicks. Um,
I agree with the thrift store thing, Lag, but I don't agree on the garage sales because if you hit a community garage sale and there's like 40 houses to go garage sailing at, chances are you're going to come out with several $1,000s worth of inventory. Now, if it's just one garage sale or two or five that you go to on a Saturday, no, you're not gonna do all that great. But for the amount of return on investment, garage sales are up there, if not the best.
Cool, Mr. Sadie. Now you getting ready to retire because you won the lottery last night? Um, Now, see, I still have bike stuff that I haven't listed. To me, and if Bridget, if you're listening, go ahead and say it. I told you so. I was kind of chicken on buying all the bike stuff that I bought, and it's been selling. I should have bought more while the opportunity was there. And now I've been looking at, I constantly watching auctions and sites and stuff like that, looking for another opportunity like that where you can buy boxes and boxes of good stuff. Unlike when you, good morning, Stephen. Unlike when you buy storage lockers, you're getting a lot of stuff, but how much of it's really good stuff? No, I've had some exceptions. Like I bought a $10 crappy ass storage unit that took me half a day to clean out, but I ended up selling about $1,000 worth of stuff out of it that was buried in the crap. Uh, you know, specialty action figures for horror movies and stuff like that was in it. Bags and bags of unopened uh, Legos. I mean,
And this is asking, where's the money then lag if not thrifts and garage sales? I I do the vast majority of my sourcing from uh,
auctions.
auctions online and live.
And I think and one of the things that I do, like I'll start looking at like high bid, and I'll start looking at some local auctions, and I start looking at stuff, and then I've got high bid up on this screen, and I got over here on this other screen I've got um, eBay, and I'm looking at items and seeing what they're selling for on eBay. So
I was
you
listening
kind
to
of
J Rod
know
Flips
what you're
yes.
buying instead of buying a pig in a poke.
I was listening to J Rod Flips yesterday, and he was saying a larger and larger portion of the stuff he gets to sell, he buys from Whatnot. Sellers get on there
Really?
and blow stuff out. Um, on Whatnot, he bought like 500 remote controls for like 50 cents a piece. And, you just sit down and list those. Um, but it's like Bridget and Chris. Are they making a full time living? Well, that's all they do. That's all they've been doing for as long as I've known them.
Oh yeah, they do good. Let's put it that way. They do really good.
Well, and this at 50 cents a piece, what would that be? That would be $250 he spent. And if they average $10 a piece, your net's going to be around, what, 7? What's
Yeah,
7
and that's
times
the
500? And you can list remotes fast. It's just front, back, pictures. Use a template, but yeah, a lot of the remotes you'll just have to bundle back up and sell them in a lot.
right.
So you get the lot in and you cherry pick the ones that are going to be worth more, and then list those individually, and the rest you blow out in lots.
Right. Yeah, and this Bridget is a beast. She and Chris, they just kill it. Um,
And it doesn't have to be remotes. It can be, I mean, you go on Whatnot, if you do your due diligence and research stuff, you can. I mean, there's a lot of places to source. There's, on Whatnot, on live auctions, garage sales. Um, Grumpy John goes straight to the manufacturer and buys from manufacturers. There's lots of ways to source.
hey, night nurse. Good morning.
That's a good question, Craig. But it's kind of like if you bought a pallet lot of remote controls and you just don't have time to sell them all, well, if you blow it out on Whatnot for twice your money, yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Absolutely, in this, I've lost my ass on a lot of deals I've made. Toothbrush holders for one. I haven't sold a single one. But they only
I,
cost $11, so my return on investment is negative $11.
why don't you donate them to all the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts? Donate them to them for craft items. Because
Uh,
people,
at the same auction, I got the toothbrush holders. I also got those electric plugs, and I've already doubled my money on those. They cost $160, and I've sold several hundred now, and I still have over 1,000 left. So you get enough
see,
stuff like that in your inventory, and you're set. It's like those SpongeBob SquarePants night lights. I've had those 7 years, and I'm almost out. I think I have 4 left, and I averaged making about $5 net on all of them, and I had like 300 or 400.
I'm going, Craig. I think we're pretty good buds. We talk a lot behind the scenes and whatnot, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. I think that if going back up to sort of what Larry said, Mr. Sadie, if you have the opportunity to buy, like my storage unit that's got all my crap in it that I need to list and I have listed, say you were to buy it, there's a lot of stuff that you probably would not relist individually, but because you bought it and you can sell it off as a lot to somebody that A doesn't have time to to go out sourcing all the time, and they're not interested in they're interested in adding a little extra cash to their income. I think that's an income stream that maybe if that's why most people think, I think they're missing out on it because it's an opportunity for you to make a little money off of stuff that you don't want to list, but to somebody else. Good morning, Chastity. To somebody else, if the price is right and they get a bunch of stuff at one time and they can make $3 or $4 a piece off of them because they have the time to do it, it's advantageous to them. Where it's not advantageous to you or to Todd because y'all and other people because they've got such higher priced items that they can list. There is only so much time in the day. That's my opinion. You
Like,
sold a pallet of toothbrushes at auction.
so, but back to the original question, and I already kind of said it. If I if I did 50 hours a week reselling, I have no doubt that my income would be greater than my retirement income every month.
Yeah, but you're working 50 hours a week. You're not supposed to have. You're only supposed to work 1 hour a day and get rich off of eBay, allegedly, or way
Oh,
most people think. And I think that's the reason a lot of people sell on eBay and then they disappear. That's just my opinion. And we've got all our. Good morning, Ping. We've all have our own opinion. Other
oh,
people, I mean, everybody looks at it differently, but I just think that that's just an extra income stream. If you're not interested in listing something because you have so much. And Todd, you've never worked 50 hours a week in your life. When you
oh,
were a school
bullshit.
teacher, you did like 4 hours a day and you called it a day.
Bullshit.
I'm tired of these teachers belly aching all the time. They only work like
Bullshit.
6 hours a day.
God,
I know that's a
Tom.
lie because because I've got friends that are teenagers that are teachers, and
Hmm. I would leave
they
the house at 6:30 a.m. to go teach and get home from the football game after teaching all day and uh taking my band kids to a football game. I get home at 10 p.m. How many hours is that in one day?
yeah,
And then
that's a
the other
lot.
days, sheesh. So
Uh,
you're full of, you know, all that bullshit.
I had when I was in high when I was a teenager at the time, but our next door neighbor was a math teacher, and she did
Joanna, I hate
most
you.
of her tests were this is the answer, and she would make a cheat sheet, and my younger brother and I would go over and grade papers for her because all it was we have our cheat sheet here and we have the kids' paper here, and she is a math teacher at our school, and she would but we'd go over there and grade them for her because she would she had 6 classes of math classes a day that she had to grade papers and all the other crap she did. So I was just making before I pissed off all the other school teachers. I was just making that as a jest because I do know that they take a lot. It takes a lot of time to do what they want. It's not like all these tests are um, circle the fill in the dot and then you can run it through the grading machine.
Hmm. But let's go back to Anissa. Working Anissa's source that she can get higher dollar items.
Well, first of all, she's got to get out of the house.
Oh, good time.
um,
You don't have to get out of the house.
well,
You
I
could
know
be
that, but
buying
I was just
whatnot
making it. I
comes
was
straight to your door.
absolutely. I was just saying. I was just making a point. She doesn't like to get out. Um,
Anissa, I used to source from government surplus auctions too until they moved their pickup location 1,200 miles away.
what is
But
RNZY? Kent says Renzi isn't, but many sellers sell and whatnot sell cheap. What is that, Kent?
I don't know.
Somebody back up here mentioned prairie dirt. Excuse me, prairie grit. Is that still existing?
I don't know. Who cares? Not to me. You keep bringing that up. Every once in a while, you bring up prairie grit, and I'm like,
No.
that's ancient
I think it
history.
was
That was 5 years ago they were trying to do that.
Craig mentioned that up here somewhere.
Oh, did he?
That and it's not Discovery. That other thing, prairie dirt. Yeah, that's it. Prairie dirt's what I call it. Um,
You know, one thing that the Chad the Golden Finger Picker taught me was get yourself order a box of business cards and just put buy sell trade and hand them out wherever you go. If you're at a garage sale, here's my card. If you hear about anything that you want to sell or somebody else needs to sell, let me know. I'm a buyer. I've gotten quite a few private deals, private individual to individual deals.
Right. Because of all these auction companies and auction sites and stuff like that, they do take a big percentage of it. So,
But yeah, and this J Ride, he still goes to he's got a route that he does probably 3 times a week to the thrift stores. I'm not saying you can't make money at thrift stores. They're just not profitable enough for me to go to them.
you know, I have found that if you go to the little mom and pop stores out in the middle of the boondocks, you find some pretty good stuff. Tell them, what am I telling them, Kent?
But can you make big bucks by yourself? I
It
mean,
depends on how hard.
real
I mean,
life-changing money. I think you can make a living pretty easy reselling by yourself.
yeah,
I'll just throw that out there. But to get, let's say, Wag said 175,000. Let's say to make $250,000 net. That's some pretty big bucks to me.
mm-hmm. Me
I
too.
think you would have to have a steady source. Kind of like, what's his name that sells the used shoes? I don't know where he got his sources. God, what's his name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Yeah, Tommy Bernard.
Yeah.
I don't know how he found his source or sources, but he makes a living just selling used shoes. Bernhard.
Okay, lag. I'm gonna put the question to you. Let's average out all of your items that you've sold. What is the average price of all the items that you sell?
And obviously Lag has figured out a good source.
Yeah.
Don't know where. He's never even given us a hint as to what his source is, and he shouldn't. He'd be stupid.
Around 450. Okay.
You can't. He may be in a contract with somebody.
Who? Tommy?
No Lag.
Oh, lag.
You'd be stupid to share your source.
Absolutely. No, I was just curious
But
about. But he also seems to know a lot about electronics, so I'm assuming he sells a lot of electronics.
yeah, he talks about it all the time. I sold a monitor for $700, and I sold this for that.
Yeah.
Lag says he gets stuff all over. So Lag, tell us, how do you go about finding a place to pick up? Got to be an expert in your category. Doesn't hurt. That's for darn sure. I'm not an expert at gold and silver, but if I walk past a table of jewelry, I'm going to look and see if there's any gold or silver there. I bought a lot that way, going to garage sales and rummage sales and such.
Yeah, after everything's
But
deducted.
yeah, there's a ton of people that make a good living off of reselling, and they're sole individuals, or maybe a husband and wife team.
I mean, like I said, most people think when you're in this kind of business that the goal is to make, millions of bucks a year. Because that's the way all the people that selling courses and whatnot make it out to be. And that's what I'm basing mine out. If you're a one person show, or even with you like Bridget and Chris, who is a 2-person team, they list all the time to, let's say, quadruple how much they sell now to put them into the $1 million sales bracket. The people would never sleep. And Chris is old. Bridget's getting there. I mean, it would take a lot of work and you would have to start hiring employees. And how many people really want employees? I've been that route before. Not for eBaying, but for other businesses. I prefer not to get into that again. Oh, by the way, that made me think of my brother. My mom celebrated her 90th birthday yesterday, so we went out for dinner last night.
All right, that's cool.
And my mom looks good for 90. My mom looks good for she looks younger than I do. I mean, my mom looks young. Uh, but she celebrated her 90th yesterday. Sorry, squirrel, but that's the way I think. Uh, but you're right, Todd. You can put and that's the way I
Oh,
think Bridget has been, and maybe that's the reason her business is successful is that she's thought of this as a business and she puts in regular hours. How many of us put in regular hours?
and she's flat out told us that she only buys from maybe 2 or 3 auctions. And she's shown videos in the past of
Yeah.
her being at live auctions and bidding on stuff. And I bet you Bridget and Chris are well above 200,000 net a year.
Yeah.
They've never, I don't think, she showed like a monthly total here and there, but you know, you got. I think that's the biggest part of it. You got to figure out a good source, and then just work, 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 work.
Yeah, I agree with what Chastity says too. She says that it depends on your lifestyle and what kind of money you need to make or want to make. Um,
Now, Steven up there said, if you don't have money to buy, you can't buy.
but that's when you have to start working. You go back to the old thing about you look through your house and see what you don't use. God, I probably got a thousand items up in our attic that I could resell because they have not been out of the box since we moved here in '94.
Oh my God.
Stuff that we've acquired through our life. Um, so that's a case where you go if you don't have any money, you find some stuff that you've got that you're not using, and try selling that. Um,
I think this is like your best topic you've ever come up with, Tom.
well, thank you.
Can you can you get rich being a single sole reseller?
Going back to somebody, whoever, and I apologize because I don't remember because I'm old, was talking about people lotting out stuff. You know, like I said, if you buy a business that's going out of business, and you have a lot of stuff that you just don't want to deal with. Like there was a hardware store that went out of business, and I bought some stuff from it. And there were like boxes of screws. You know, the little plastic boxes it takes an act of God to get opened up to get those four screws out of it.
Yeah.
There were boxes and boxes of those that was, from the manufacturers. Stuff like that would be good. Just wholesale it out and get rid of it. And I think that would, if you did that consistently, that would also increase your bottom line. But just listing one item here, there, one at a time, one item, you got to do a lot of listing. So, I mean, I know, Lag has got plenty of money.
I like beans.
Lag, you're such an asshole. I never said I took you to raise. Okay, I'm always asking questions of the people that know what they're doing. I never said I knew what I was doing. I'm kind of hit and miss.
One pancake at a time.
One pancake at a time. That's right.
But yeah, to reiterate, I think the two main things about making a full-time income or better, got to have good sourcing, and you got to work. You got to work your ass off. You got to spend a lot of time listing, cleaning, testing, whatever you got to do. You got to put in the hours and the. Now there's other requirements. You got to have room to do your business.
Yeah.
I've got a. What is this space here? My bat cave is like. I don't know. What's 30 by 40? How many square foot is that?
Was that 120?
Is that
No.
all? It's got to be bigger than that. Of course, I do have some stuff piled out under the carport and on my back porch.
1,200. Not 120, 1,200. I dropped to zero.
I got to have more than that. I bet it's more like 200 square feet. I do my stuff out of. But I'm stacked to the rafters. I mean, I got crap everywhere, listed and unlisted.
How did I get involved? And how did we get involved in reselling? I used to sell before I retired. I sold the odds and ends that I picked from a local dollar store, and I liked going to storage auctions. They used to be down in our part of the. They were only on the weekends, so it was mass. There would be hundreds of people there, and they only sold it by the unit. Before COVID hit, it got to the point where they were selling. They'd open up a door and they would start selling off the stuff like one at a time or in lots or that kind of stuff like that. But that's how I got involved in it.
Lag and Sadie are figuring out my square footage that I take up reselling. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I've got a tote full of military surplus in the back of my pickup. It's just sitting there. Uh,
I've
but
got
okay, you got to have a little bit of room to do your business out of.
yeah.
You got to have a room to pictures, room to pack, room to have shelving, room to. But
And
yeah,
and the money you got to invest in organizing what you got. You know, I'm telling you people, Where's my settings at? Um, these file cabinets been replacing the totes with. This one was $1.99. This one was $2.49, and this one's like $1.50. You can't buy a damn tote for $1.50 that's as big as this drawer is right here. It
Right.
keeps the cats out of it. It keeps the dust off of it. And if push come, and it surely doesn't take as much space, vertical space. Or is that horizontal?
Well, you can also
I,
get creative with the size of stuff you buy to sell. Like
yeah.
I bought a lot of knives at the auction. This is a case electrician's knife, and knives they don't take up hardly any room. Um, so it depends on what you're selling. If
Well, you
you
know,
can
it's like
sell
the guy
small
that
stuff,
sells all the postcards. You know, he's got millions of postcards, and
yeah, he's probably taking up 120 square foot for his business.
yeah.
Mark.
I mean,
Um,
it's
if you sell eyeglasses, there was a lady that did reselling out of a mobile camper,
right.
and the main thing she sold was eyeglass frames. Um,
There used
cam
to be a woman that
cameras
she,
don't take up a lot of room.
yeah, there was a woman that sold the cross stitch kits. That's all she sold was the cross stitch kits. She had thousands of them, and she sold through hundreds a month. Uh, you
Yeah,
know, and then
niche
when
down to
you,
become an expert.
yeah, and you know, Lag's probably got a 40,000 square foot basement, sub basement, sub basement because of all of his printers and electronic whatnot he does.
He's talked about having a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah,
He also talked about buying 3 shipping stations before. I was like, God, how much room would it take to have 3 shipping stations? So, he's got a couple of employees at least. Anyway,
yeah. Unless mom comes down there and helps him, or his dad of the month.
but if you specialized in coins, just buying and selling coins, those don't take up any room. There's a ton of stuff you could sell that's just small.
I looked at an auction. Speaking of coins, I looked at an auction, and they had the 1 ounce um, sterling bars. You know, the little ones, 1 ounce. They were selling for $55 a piece.
Yeah, you run into some stupid buyers for stuff like that.
And I'm thinking about, and I just pulled up the company that I don't even hell what, I just I've got a desktop icon. I clicked on it to see what they were selling for, and they were like $38 plus free shipping.
Hmm. So, all right, bye, Sadie. Have
Oh,
yourself a
yeah,
good.
he's got to go get his money out.
Um, Jewelry. If there are a ton of people on eBay that only do jewelry, stamps. I can't I can't find enough stamps to make any money on marbles. Marbles wouldn't take up any room, but I would have
And
to
also
learn
the
a lot about marbles to be able to make a profit on marbles because just being able to identify the rare ones is
Right.
where you make your money there, I think.
What were the big marbles called? Do you remember?
Shooters.
Yeah, thank you. Because yeah, we played marbles and we played keepsies when I was a kid.
Shoot, I
You
would
know,
run out of marbles quick. I used to make my thumb sore shooting marbles. But hi, Julie. But
American
if I
Honey.
look back at the big high dollar buys that I've made, they're few and far between. I don't regularly have a supply of high dollar items all the time.
Yeah, American Honey. You can fall down a rabbit hole real fast, like in some of this stuff.
But like James, Reseller Life James, he lists 150 CDs a day, and he's definitely making at least, he talks about 800 to $1,000 sales days just about every day. But he's got, what do you say, 160,000 listings? Hmm.
That was my thought too, Junk Trader. Which by this time
Yeah, his wife's a pharmacist and helps with the business a little.
you having a wife that has a great job always makes a difference. Um,
He couldn't probably quit tomorrow and be okay. Well, it takes a lifetime to save up enough money to get fully retired. It takes like 40 years of hard work. He's got software to help with the CDs, yeah.
but sell similar. And when I'm talking about, he gets a new CD that he doesn't have a listing for already. You click on the eBay by that CD. You scan the barcode on it. It gives you some suggestions. You sell like it, and it populates just about everything. Of course, you got to take your own pictures and whatnot.
Thom has a weird imagination.
I don't know what I can't. We love you, dude. But it's so that can expedite little things like that can expedite listing. But if you got to take pictures, that still takes time. And if he's doing those kind of listings every day, he's thinking of this as a business. I mean, Bridget and Chris, they list a lot. This is their livelihood. Scott lists a lot. It's his livelihood. He supports three people with it.
So there you go. Can you make big bucks? Yeah. If you got a source. If you
And
sold,
that's
if you niche down and sold only gold jewelry, I have no doubt that you can make big bucks, but you got to have a source.
absolutely lag.
But reselling's got definite advantages to a job. You don't have a boss. You don't have a set schedule. You don't have. There's lots of benefits to being a reseller. And like me and Tom, we can do it after we retire from regular jobs.
Right. But one of the biggest things about it, especially if your spouse has an income
Right.
and you have, and you're like Anissa, she and Joanne, Johanna, they're stay-at-home moms. Even though Anissa's girls are big enough that they're, she's not having to wipe their butts and stuff like that. Uh, she can take. She has the flexibility because of this, and anybody else that they can go have conferences with teachers and they can do events and they can take doctor's appointments and not having to to ask for a time off. Because even before I retired and we had small kids
There you go,
and I was a
Stephen.
boss and the dance driver, yeah. We had small kids and I was the boss or one of the bosses. I hated to have to take time off to take a kid to the doctors for their annual physical. If they were sick, that's different, but for their physicals and their optical and all of this kind of stuff because I knew what had to need to be done. Yeah, doctor appointments suck. So it gives you a lot of flexibility too. And this, so they both have jobs.
Who?
Was that in this that said they both have jobs now? I thought they were only like 15 years old. Are they 16 now? Because in North Carolina, you have to be 16 years old to have a job unless it's a family business.
Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, you can work in your underwear. Reselling. I hope you don't go outsourcing in your underwear, but there you go. They work at a grocery store.
Seriously, are they 16 now, Anissa?
Hmm.
Dang. Somebody's getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Be sure and charge them rent. Stick it in an envelope. Stick it in the back of your desk drawer. So when they need something, a big ticket item, you can go, sure, Mama's got you covered, and they can pay for it. Well, that rolling with it is what you got to do. Because how many people hated doing what they did, but it paid the bills. I mean, my father-in-law worked for the same company his whole life. That don't happen these days. First of all, most companies don't last that long. But good morning, Beth. So anyhow, since we are getting close to the end of the year, because it's coming at us like a freight train. Um, Use this little bit of information you've learned this morning, if you learned anything. If you learned this, if Todd and I learned you something, uh, and start planning next year.
This is a mediocre mom. I bet. A good enough mom. Uh,
You know what? I I was hitting the live button, and I looked
Hollywood
at
hair.
the screen, and I'm like, "Geez, and crackers! Look at my hair." But this morning I really don't care.
What are we planning for, Beth? We're planning the world domination over here on
Yeah.
this show. Where you been?
How much money you want to make next year? Because this year's almost over with. And that's another question for another morning. Do you try to
Nope.
plan what
He's
you want to
still
get
just a
accomplished?
he's still a bachelor. He'll probably always be a bachelor. I don't know about giving up.
I swear.
Yeah, let's get Gage hooked up with Anis's single daughter.
I think there's. I have one I need to marry off. I've got one that I think they're headed that direction. So if anybody's got any 25-year-old daughters that's looking for a husband,
Gage and Alexa.
we will start. We'll open negotiations for an arranged marriage.
Sounds cute. Yeah, we could. If you married your daughter to my son, I would keep you supplied with toothbrush holders the rest of your life. It's a deal. Shake on it.
And this would hear the doorbell ring, and she'll look out the door and see the UPS driving off, and she'd open her front door, and there'd be like 5 cases of toothbrush holders. This is your dowry.
So I'm gonna give Gage some gas money and just send him up there to knock on your door. Hmm.
But you know, this is like way, way off subject. Well, since we're talking about marrying off our children, it just seems like guys are just not in the. They're not looking.
Kent wants to marry into Anissa's clan. Look at that.
If I had a daughter, I'd marry her off to Todd's son, just so she could get some of that Toddrick money.
Uh,
And this is your older daughter. Is she married?
Steven's single too. He's gonna jump in there and try to marry a nurse too. You got lots of suitors just in 10 minutes there, Anissa. You're
I don't need hospice, Kent.
She loves being single. Well, some people do.
A lot of people and a lot of guys these days, and a lot of women are not looking to get married. I mean, Japan had a day where they had like a day where there was no new births in Japan. The whole country there were no new births, and that's got the government in a tailspin.
Kent's ready to jump in on getting married.
I don't know, Nissa. I think you need to keep a restraining order against him.
Yeah.
So we've got y'all motivated to make some money now. So once we wrap this show up, y'all going to all sit down and y'all going to list a couple of hundred things before you go to bed tonight.
I wonder if I've got a couple of hundred to list. Yeah, I do.
Where's Gwen at? Get her to come to the computer. We'll ask her. Gwen, does Todd have a couple of hundred new listings to list, or does he need to go out and buy something?
Yeah. I'm sitting here. I've got 8 Coleman lanterns sitting here I haven't listed. 8 or
Okay, your
more.
Coleman lanterns, are they the ones with the white gas, or are they the
Yeah,
ones with the canisters?
they all use Coleman fuel or unleaded gasoline.
Okay. And I'm asking this. It don't say in a damn box. Okay, you sold one. You put it in a box with padding. Is there anything that you have to label this box with because it had fuel in it at one time? Because I've never sold anything like that, so I'm
No,
being serious.
they're completely dry when I ship them out. No, I don't ship gasoline in them.
Well, I didn't know whether because they had fuel in them at one time if that made a difference or not. So you just ship it just like any other item.
Yeah, I mean the globe, the glass part, you have to pad it pretty well.
Yeah,
But
of
other than
course.
that, they're made out of steel.
Your,
Um,
your biggest concern is that glass thing,
yeah, I take like strips of that foam and go all the way around both sides of the glass. You know that thin foam strippy stuff?
right?
I tear off little strips and just go around and around and around the globes, and then put them back in place in the lantern, and then just regular padding after that. I've never had a globe break on a Coleman lantern when I've shipped it,
Right.
but or old socks, old worn out socks with holes in them. You can use those to pad a lantern.
You wash them first, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Or is dirty socks extra?
I was going to use underwear one time, but I thought that was a little. Somebody might not like their Coleman lantern come with used underwear packing.
Yeah. Night nurse, how is the auction? Is that working out good for you? Scott seems to be. It seems to be pretty successful at that.
Steven puts the globe in a separate box. You can do that too, but then you have to worry about your dimensional weight getting too big.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering, Anissa, whether he uses the vintage ones with asbestos in them.
You could take padded bras and cut them up, and they're pretty cushy, in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always find them in storage units. Wash them and then use them for packing material.
Hmm.
He had a yesterday. He had sold a bunch of big girl panties again. I wonder how long it'll be before he gets them back. Um, because that's something I would, he's got a bazillion packs of those things. I would be lotting those suckers up and selling them to Anissa or whoever else wants to sell big girl panties. But then again, I would have already taken them down to my local flea market and set them up on the back of my truck. So once they went out, whether you like them or not, they're not coming back because I won't be back next weekend. So anyway, I got to go. Todd's got to go see his girlfriends. He's got to go
Mm.
get bathed and get on his high karate. Um,
There you go, night nurse. That's what I do.
cool.
Yeah, you just gotta have a good sourcing to make good money.
And in my opinion, it doesn't hurt to have. Yeah, you're only making $3 off of something, but that helps fill in the holes of the $100 items that you've sold. But anyway, I got to go. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, Todd, for always coming in. Thank you, people, for attending this informative show. And I hope maybe it made you think a little bit about what you're doing, because it has me. So, anyway, have a great day. Look for Todrick tomorrow. He's going to have a fantastic subject to talk about tomorrow. And
Get out there
thanks
and get
again, Todd.
reach.
All right. Y'all have a great one. Bye bye.
Bye.